Alright guys, I have been reading the comments. So today we're going to be making a brand new tier list, ranking every meta unit in Anime Last Stand as of the Easter update. Hopefully you enjoyed the video or found it helpful. If you do, maybe leave a like or subscribe. But anyways, let's get into it. For the rankings today, we're going to be using the same ones as always. We have Meta Overall, Meta Infinite, Meta Early, Support, Decent, and Farms. I went ahead and got the farms out of the way. Idol is the most cost efficient and has a buffing ability. Yojin is good for short wave, and Robin is good for high wave. Moving on to the actual units here. First up we have Madoka. I'd say Madoka is meta overall. She's pretty cheap on placement and has very good DPS. She has two different forms, the witch form and the goddess form. I recommend keeping her in goddess form most of the time because it has a very strong ability. As Death is also meta overall. She is a fully AoE blizzard unit with very high DPS, and she does also have a buffing ability, or buffing passive. Pretty good. Army Bulmi is mostly a buffer. She has a pretty strong buff with low uptime, and she does also have a cash drop that can call in 30k cash. Pretty good support. Kame is a cheap hybrid unit with very good DPS. I'd just say she's a meta early unit, but not much to talk about there. Buchi is a crit demon. He does a lot of crit DPS. He has high DPS potential depending on the content you're running. With the final wave of progressive stages, he gets a huge damage buff, and then in wave 50 of Infinite's the same thing. Overall just decent though. Anos actually got buffed this update. They completely reworked his ability, and he's a very good infinite nuker now, but that's all he really has. I don't think he's worth bringing in progressive most of the time. Immortal King is good for everything. This guy is definitely meta overall for sure. His DPS is good, and he has some of the strongest abilities in the game, with a rewind, an ability reset, and a 30 guaranteed insta-kill nuke. Definitely meta overall. Gabimaru is just a burn DPS unit, nothing special. I'll throw him in decent. Chihiro is a perfect seal unit with really good DPS and a bunch of ways to apply different status effects. Very good. He is ground only, but one of his passives can hit flying enemies, so pretty good actually. I'd put him meta overall. Death the Kid is a meta early unit for sure. He's cheap hybrid and does a bunch of good DPS. Joker is decent. His damage isn't too crazy, but he does have all the different types of burn. Fire Shinra is really good if you run him in a fire team especially, but overall just a solid unit. Probably right about here. Water Shinra is even better than Fire Shinra. He has Blizzard and tons of crazy DPS. Very good. Nature Shinra is a meta infinite unit for sure. He has a chance to one-shot everything every time he attacks. Very good. The Dark form of Shinra has a good damage buff from his Despair passive. Pretty alright support in my opinion. The Light form of Shinra is like a light version of the Fire form, just a bold DPS unit. He can be pretty good on the right team. The Neutral form is a meta infinite unit for sure. He has a rewind and ability reset. Ogun is just a decent burn DPS unit. Same thing for Hibana. Same thing for Shu. Arthur is a full AoE plasma unit with really good DPS. He has a very strong ability too with an execute. Pretty good for infinites as well. So, meta overall, and debatably like right here. Benimaru definitely meta early. Very solid option for fire element, but I do think there are better options now. Yeah, by the way, he got reworked to be fire instead of dark this update, but very good DPS for early game. Darksaber actually got buffed this update. Her ability is much stronger for her nuke damage. Meta infinite for sure. Boosted Zamasu, also meta infinite, but not too strong. He has infinitely scaling damage from his passive, but same thing as Gon, so we'll move him while we're here. Quincy King is a very good support. He's fully AoE with the better version of Fear, and a damage buff, and a nuke ability. The Sword form of Shiro is just a raw DPS unit with your random passive, from his ability only though. The Knife form of Shiro is just a DPS unit that is more centered around killing bosses. And the Berserk form of Shiro is just a DPS unit with a base blocking ability. Kirito is a very solid DPS unit, especially against dark enemies. He does a lot of extra damage. Probably top of decent right now. I don't remember this guy's name, but he's just an okay DPS unit, and he takes damage from people around him. Cheetah is just an okay DPS unit. Kaiser is just an okay DPS unit. Rin is just an okay DPS unit. And Isagi is actually pretty good. He is maybe even meta overall. He has a damage buff, pretty good DPS, and he's pretty cheap. And they did buff him this update by increasing his final upgrade damage. Psy Prodigy is a cheap hybrid unit with perfect seal and pretty good DPS. I'd say meta early. Nagi is a cheap hybrid unit, light element, pretty good DPS. I'd say meta early. Lifa is a SPA reduction buffer, and I think a nature unit buffer. Pretty good actually. Ragnar's just a decent DPS unit. He's pretty cheap, but his placement damage isn't too crazy. So not meta early, but pretty okay and decent. Unohana is a bleed buffing support unit. Ichigo is a meta early unit for sure. His placement DPS is actually really good, but he does fall off at later upgrades. He's not too great. Compared to other godlies, I wouldn't recommend using him ever. Shadow Commander is just a decent fully AoE bleed DPS unit. Sukuna is probably a meta infinite unit for his percentage based nuke. Kenpachi is probably just a decent DPS unit. He's very cheap but really falling off. Baldy Garo is probably a meta infinite unit. He does have a very solid nuke and very high damage potential as well. Cosmic Garo, in my opinion, is still the best unit in the game. Like, I feel like people undervalue his godly lead. He has a very strong godly lead for buffing crit, and he also just has very good placement damage, very good blade upgrade damage, and a very strong nuke ability. Ryuk is a meta infinite unit because every attack he has a chance to one-shot. Saitama is also a meta infinite unit because he has a 30%, I believe, auto execute on his nuke. DPS Kurumi is probably meta overall. She has very good DPS and a 90-second time stop, I think. I'd probably put her right above Death for now. Support Kurumi is a very good infinite unit. She is also kind of like a nature Shinra, just slightly worse. She's fully AoE and has a chance to one-shot stuff every hit. Pride is also meta overall. They did buff his final upgrade damage and some of his abilities. Probably right above DPS Kurumi. Itachi is just a mid-burn DPS unit. I'm not sure if he's still bugged, if his Black Flame has perfect SPA yet, but right now he's very, very bad if he's still bugged. Buff version of Kurumi is a very good support, very good for damage buffing and her 90-second time stop. Tier 5 Luffy, in my opinion, is still meta overall. He is one of the best godly leads in the game. Everything else about him is still pretty good. Boros is completely falling off. He's a decent unit for plasma and okay DPS. Wukong definitely meta overall. Has some of the highest DPS in the game and the best godly lead for tournaments right now. Probably going like right here maybe? He has a very strong support. They did actually buff him this update and his buffing passives are way stronger now. I'd say he's like, might be the best support in the game now. Maybe above buffing Kurumi. These two are debatable, but probably right here. Tatsumaki is a meta early unit for sure. She has really solid placement damage, she's cheap, and she does have a very good slowdown passive. Probably put her right above Ichigo. Goku, of course, has really high DPS if you pair him with Gohan. Otherwise, he does have two strong abilities for buffing your team's damage. I put him in meta overall and right about here. Yoruichi kind of falling off, just a DPS unit. Sun Shinru, in my opinion, the second best unit in the game. He's very good for progressive, and also valuable in infinites for his summon passive and his Dragon's Roar. I think Genos is still a meta early unit. He has good DPS on placement and sunburn, but really low range. Yuta, all he has is DPS, he's falling off. Rias has fully reconquered, but her DPS is kind of falling off. Usopp is a single target boss killer with okay DPS, probably right about here. Shaheen is falling off. I'd say like only use her if you need a light unit starter, but even then there are better options. I forget this girl's name. Shion. Shion is a DPS unit only. All she has is raw damage, kind of like the same boat as all these other people. Falling off. Issei is also falling off. Raw DPS only. Monster Garo is a perfect seal unit with okay DPS, but kind of falling off. Right here. Albedo is a support who is going to reduce your unit's range but buff their damage. She's alright. Yor is a ground DPS unit with the weakened status effect. She's kind of falling off. Roger, fully reconquered unit with a nuke, but is no longer spammable, so kind of falling off as well. Fubuki is actually really good in my opinion, probably like near the top of decent, right below Kirito. Fully AoE Blizzard, at final upgrade, and really good placement damage as well. Lightning Queen, fully reconquered, very similar to Roger and Rias. Zoro, just a DPS unit with Mutilate, he's alright. Remy is a meta early unit, he's very cheap, he has the random passive, pretty good damage, I'd put him probably right about here. Kaido is debatably like a support now for his dazed status effect, but I'd put him in decent, his damage is still okay, I'd put him probably right here. Madara is a meta infinite unit for his rewind ability, I'd put him right about here. Sanji is a fully blue flame unit with okay DPS, I'd put him probably right about here. Giorno got completely gutted, all he has going for him is rewind now. Mitsuri is a fully hemorrhage unit. Her DPS kind of getting outdated though. I'd put her like right here. Gohan can still be okay for buffing Goku, but his personal performance isn't too great. I'd put him like right here. I think Guts is still pretty good. He's the only unit who can stun other units, and his damage is not that bad. I put him right about here. Law is just a rewind ability, that's all he has. Dodo does the same thing. Erwin is a damage buffer, pretty good one, right about here. Subaru, same thing, damage buffer. Antares is a burn buffer, probably right here. Aizen is very good. He has very solid personal damage, and he has a very solid damage buff for the rest of your team. Pretty good unit, and I put him right about here in meta overall. Needle Queen is kind of falling off, but she is a perfect shield DPS unit. Gray is definitely a meta early unit. He is still kind of holding in there with full AoE freeze on placement and not that bad DPS. Naruto is a damage and range buffer, pretty okay. Julius is a full AoE stun and time stop unit. I put him probably like near the bottom of support, right under these two for now. Gogeta is probably a meta infinite unit. He's a strong percent based nuke. Vampeta is a cheap hybrid fire unit, but kind of falling off. I put it right about here. Fear is just a full AoE better version of Fear. Quincy King is just kind of better than him, so put him low support. Gojo after the Divine Boost is one of the strongest units in the game right now. His DPS is really good, and he has some of the strongest abilities for time stops and nukes. Probably the third best right now in meta overall. Hines is kind of falling off. He's a full AoE dark unit. I put him probably like right here and decent. He's good for damage and his nuke, but that's all. Uchi is a meta support for sure. Very good for resetting abilities and does have full AoE pressure. Rimuru is, in my opinion, still very solid. I'd put meta overall. Rimuru is very cheap, has full AoE weakened on final upgrade, which is very rare. Not very many units in the game have weakened. I'm gonna put him probably just above as death. Goku Black after the Divine Boost is really good now. I'd say probably top of meta early. He's no longer perfect seal, but he makes up for it by having a ton of DPS. Zamasu, the unboosted form, is actually better than the boosted form for meta infinite because he has a percent based nuke. I put him probably right here. And then finally, Gilgamesh, also going to be meta infinite because of a percent execute nuke. And I'd put him probably right about here. Here we have the final rankings. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, but of course be respectful because everyone can have their own opinions. Anyways, thank you to my channel members for making this video possible. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you in the next one. And have a great day.